All right, good afternoon and welcome everybody. It's a wonderful Thursday before the long weekend. You know what? With all of this shutting down of everything, I actually forgot that tomorrow was a long weekend. So I guess I kind of get a bonus day. But before we get into the long weekend, a lot of you have been talking in different groups, and we've been part of different groups talking about how to effectively communicate to our customers during the COVID-19 lockdown, I guess we might call it. Um, Half of the audience is saying we shouldn't be communicating and selling anything. The other half of the audience is going full steam ahead. Some people are aggressively going after new clients and are winning, and others are patiently waiting. So I thought rather than give just my opinion that I would bring in a marketing and branding expert, as well as a good friend of mine, John Morgan, to help talk through some of these things and help us all make better informed decisions. John is the author of Brand Against the Machine, a best-selling book on branding and marketing. We've been friends for many, many years. If you are watching this live and you have a question, just post it and I will ask John. I think that's all I have for John for a lead up. It's Trevor from Smashing Pixels. I don't know if I said that, but John, why don't, for those who might not know you, introduce yourself and then we'll get started.
Sure thing, man. Well, thank you so much for having me because it's exciting that you and I get to talk and do this. I'm honored that you wanted to have this conversation. I'm John Michael Morgan, and I write books and coach entrepreneurs and leaders. And especially in times like this, it's really important to make sure that you get your marketing right, but also have your mindset right, and be really focused more so than ever, because it's a crazy time where some things are not that great, and at the same time there's opportunities out there, and figuring out how to navigate this as a business is really important, because the steps you take right now could set you up for great success in the future, but you've got to know what you're doing and you've got to know what those steps are. So I'm excited to talk about all of that today.
Yeah, so about a month ago when everything started, we all thought, hey, it's going to be a few weeks, we'll get back at this. But now it's going on longer than anyone has anticipated. We've heard it could be as long as 18 months. And then others are saying it's going to be till the summer. But I think that you and I can both agree that it's not going to end anytime soon. And when it's going to end, nobody knows. So for the companies and businesses, myself included, that may have thought, hey, you know what, it's about a week or so of respite that I can handle, and then I'll get back at it. That hasn't happened because their customers have fallen to the wayside. Some of their customers have been told to go home and wait, so we're in kind of this swirl. And again, like I said, there's a real debate on how we should be communicating with clients. What to make sure we stay top of mind. Let's start here. What are some of the easy wins that we could have to stay top of mind with our customers, where we're not selling in this time, but we're making sure that they remember that we're still around?
Sure, I mean, it's a great question. It's a great place to start. I've been in business a long time, and in that time, I've gone through, H1N1 and SARS and 9/11 and, recessions and just a lot of, different things. And within that, one of the things that I have noticed in every one of those time periods is that when things do start to improve, the consumer rewards the people that were with them during the difficult time. A lot of times businesses get in a situation like this and we don't know what to do anything. We hide, we panic, we slow down. The uncertainty gets the best of us. I understand that. But your clients right now are wanting leadership, that they're wanting to know, how do we do this? So just like you're doing right now with like, hey, let's bring on some people, let's have a conversation about this. That's the easy, quickest win you can do is, communicate with your customers more than you normally do. Do Facebook Lives, call and check in on them, email them more often. And like you said, not that you're trying to sell them anything, you're just talking through them of like, here's what we know, here's what we can expect, how are you doing? It's really fascinating, Trevor, because business owners have wanted to know our customers well since the beginning of business, right? Now, all of a sudden, we're in a time period unlike any other where every single person on the planet is going through the same experience. So customers are dealing with right now having a conversation with them about that is leadership. And so it's that the quick win is I'm not going to disappear. In fact, I'm going to communicate more than normal. I'm going to be present and help them and lead them and serve them more than I even was before. That's the big opportunity we have.
Well, I know one of the things that you and I spoke about, and I might not have mentioned this at the beginning, John has also been coaching me with a lot of marketing stuff for, a lot of years. So we have a lot of great conversations, but one of the things that you had challenged me to do, and I started doing it, is just a simple, and I think you touched on it, but maybe expand, just a simple hello. Hey, checking in on you, making it personal, just to show that, you know what, I'm taking a couple seconds to see what you've been up to, making it personal and reaching out. The value that that brings to strengthening the relationship during this time, I think we're going to get paid back tenfold. And I'm not doing it to get paid back tenfold. I'm just doing it to say to the customer, I'm here with you.
You're exactly right. I mean, we're literally all in this together. And there are people who are on, the front lines of it. There are people who've lost their jobs. There are people who've lost family members. There's also those of us that, I worked from home before this. It's not as big of an adjustment to my as it is for others, but we're all experiencing it. And so to reach out to your customers to check on them, it's, that's humanity, right? Right? Like this is the thing to do because we're all going through it. And one thing that we've seen, and I think it's fine, is that you see, some people handle this very well, and then some people don't. And okay, if they're not handling it well, then we need to check on them. We need to reach out and see, like, hey, how are you doing? Do you need anything? Because, as we know, like I said, some of us are handling it fine and some people aren't. And so to reach out to everyone and just let your customers know, I'm here, I'm responding, forget how are you doing? Just human to human, how are you?
Yeah, it's so key to reach out to those, and like you said, we might not know their whole story. Some people I found have opened up quite a lot to me in these conversations, and most of them, if they're not opening up, they're at least saying, "Hey, thanks a lot for checking in on me." And again, it just deepens the relationship that we have. I mean, we're all in relationship marketing, is the game. We use social media, and the funny thing is, we're finally having to be social on social media. Where before we would generally push our agenda, now we're trying to be social. And all of that plays in hand. But I want to kind of take it up a notch. One of the things that Facebook, YouTube, the web is in need of is content. We are all absorbers of content. I can tell you this, in the last, because I've had a little bit more time on my hands, even though I'm still coming to work to the office. I'm the only one that is coming to work. Everyone else went to their homes. I find myself with a few extra minutes of time, and I'm finding that there's not a lot of great content when I grab my phone to look at things or new content. So the world is thirsting for content creators. So in this time, how can we start to be content creators? So we're now above the first touch response of, hey, how are you doing? Now we want to create content. How important is it to create content to keep, I'm going to use the word entertain, to keep your customers entertained and to stay in front of them?
Yeah, well, I mean, you're right, because I think if we make content that's really effective, it's either educational or entertaining. So, we want a kind of a combination of those things. This is the moment that we've been waiting for in terms of content creators. Everyone is stuck at home. Everyone's consuming content even more than they already were. So it's this great opportunity. The other thing is online. There are a lot of people posting here thoughts, a lot of people complaining. None of that stands out. What people are looking for is advice, wisdom, maybe even motivation and inspiration. And so we as entrepreneurs and marketers, we've got this, hey, let me put out something good. Let me put out something helpful. So your audience, Trevor, who's a bunch of great business owners, they're trying to figure out, hey, how do I navigate this more weeks or 4 more months? How do I navigate this? And so you're saying, all right, let me put out content that is going to help them with that. Let's share some ideas. That's what we all have to be doing. So the real question then is, okay, what is it that my audience needs right now? What do they need? And like I said, maybe they just need positivity. Maybe they need humor. Maybe, I mean, the memes that have come out of this scenario has been, really good, right? Well, then, okay, maybe you're going to lead on that side. There's just so many opportunities, but what you're talking about is so important, because however much content you were creating before this, increase it right now, because we don't know how long it's going to be, but we do know it will end. And when it ends, noisy again, and people are going to get kind of busy again, and they're going to remember who was present during that season, who was trying to help them, who was a bright spot in their social media feed or in their inbox. And so that's what we're trying to do now, is just really make sure that our content is helpful and that it's relevant, and that we're showing up every single day providing that for people.
Well, and I think that this is this is that bootstrap time, if you've not already done so, to make sure that, you are creating content. We're also going another step deeper and reaching out to clients and saying, listen, in those moments that you've said, I wish I had more time to create those blogs I've always wanted to do. I wish I had more time to do the videos. I know, John, you and I have chatted, and I've said, I wish I had more time to do podcasting. And guess what? I now had more time. So I said, you know what? I'm going to start interviewing people that are much smarter than I am in certain spots, and share that knowledge with everyone. Now is that perfect time to do it. And again, as you said, the content creation is so key. Many of us are going to our Facebook, and we may see that same person over and over and over again, 6 or 7 times in our feed. Why? It's because they're creating content, and you read their content. That person really is no different than you or I or a business. But I think that businesses have a fear that if I create too much content and reach out too much to people, it's equal to a spammy newsletter. Can you talk about the difference between creating content that your customer wants and not getting caught up in thinking that you're becoming that spammy newsletter where people are just going to turn you off?
Yeah, I think this comes back to, is it relevant? And, what people don't necessarily want is a sales pitch every day. So if your content is that, then yeah, you're not going to get much traction, nagging them to death, please buy my stuff. And that's not always going to be effective. But when you can put out content that guides them, that helps them, that gets them to think, that encourages them, then it's a whole different thing. I look at there's a small mom and pop restaurant in my town that before this happened, they're dine-in only. They're, again, like they're mom and pop. You can't order online or, anything like that. And when this happened, I you're going to be okay. And they made adjustments immediately to saying, okay, no one allowed inside, and we're going to turn all of our waiters into delivery, carry out, so you can come up and park and let us know what parking spot number you're in, and we're going to bring it out to you. But they also go on Facebook every single day live, and they show you the safety precautions as they prepare the food. And they're not saying, oh, come buy our new chicken, or come buy this special, whatever. Like, there's none of that. They're just showing you what they're doing and showing how they're trying to keep. And what's happening is, it's like, okay, that's a reminder that they're still out there. They're still in business. They're trying to serve and help us. And that's relevant content, even though it's just a restaurant, right? Who's just trying to, do the best they can right now to survive, during this. And the crazy part about it is they're actually thriving, that they're doing, maybe even better than they were. And so that's the thing, is it's like, don't overthink your content. This isn't the time to chase, perfection. We're all working from home. We're all doing, the best that we can. I don't know if you could hear it, but to mow his yard. And it's like, why? that, or I could stop and be like, yeah, you know what? That's what it is. It's not going to stop you and I from having this conversation and getting it out to people. So often the reason people don't produce enough content is because you're overthinking it. You're trying to, reality is perfect is a definition that you can't define. You know, what I listen to in music that I think, oh man, that's a perfect album. You know, the other people, like my parents, were like, yeah, that's not perfect. They hated it, right? You know, famous paintings out there, like, you know, someone could look at the Mona Lisa and say, wow, like that's at its like highest level. They're Mona Lisa, and they're like, I don't get it. Like, is she smiling? Is she not? Like, whatever. Like, they don't see the big one, or right or wrong. It's just that everyone has a different definition of what perfect is. So that's the trap we fall in. How helpful is this going to be? Are they going to like it? You know, are people going to click? Are they going to watch? Are they going to listen? It's like, listen, you don't know. So you just have to publish it and then move on to the next thing, because the point that you were making earlier is so important, which is it's the mass, it's the sum of all the content you put out. You know, you and I have had this conversation before, Trevor, but it's always fascinating. They never contact me and say, the post you did on Facebook, that made me want to hire you. They always just say, hey, John, I like all your stuff.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, what stuff? Tell me specifically. All that stuff you do. And I'm like, because it's just the sum of it. It's just having that visibility season like this that keeps people where you're on top of their mind. So if they're going to order food, they're going to think about what they're going to do for dinner. Like who's been out there, who's been, you know, continuing to market. If they need advice on, you know, time management, who's been, you know, putting out content about time management or whatever it may be. Like that's the thing. And that's the opportunity that we have.
Well, and well, first and foremost, let's admit this: Silverchair was a good band. I know.
Dude, exactly, right? Thank you. Thank you. Let's go on record and just say massively underrated.
Yeah.
I get it, but come on. Like, you know, you got to go past the singles. You got to listen deep.
Yeah, yeah. And then it sounds like you're really talking about the sum of our communications, not just a specific communication, which again goes back towards we need to continue to reach out and connect with our clients, because our clients are thirsty for content, and they're going to get content from somewhere. We're all doing this at home, like even more than ever. We're all doing the old Facebook scroll like this. So we are all absorbing content. It comes down to, we need to be the people who are the content creators, so that as our customers or potential customers are scrolling through, they keep on seeing your smiling face, my smiling face, and then once they get out of this haze or the fog that they're walking in, they're going to say, hey, you know what? Like you said, I want to work with you because I like your stuff. They don't know what it is, but it's just the stuff that we're doing. So
yeah, I'm business owners. So what's going to happen is there are business owners right now saying, what do we do?
Yeah.
Well, like you said, they're going to be scrolling. Who's helping? Who knows what to do right now? Who's got a handle on it? Who's doing okay? I had someone reach out to me simply because I've stayed positive, and they were admitting that they hadn't, and they were just like, I need that in my life. Right, like I just need that energy, you know, to be around, product of your environment and all of those things, and so that's what it is. And you know, the thing about this, Trevor, is like there are industries that are right now, and you know, those industries are the one is over the, because the devastation for them during this season, you know, like the, you know, obviously nothing like that's happening right now. And we'll sort of go back. People want to go on vacation because they may feel like they've just been on it too much. I don't know. I think a lot of people are just ready to get back to work, and, you know, a sense of their normal life will be impacted. But the mistake we make as business owners is just impacted. And that is not true. There are some industries that have not been impacted at all. There are some that are actually thriving because of this, and people are making before, not because they're charging more, they're ripping people off or anything like that, but just simply they're in the right industry, for that. So that's really important as an entrepreneur is when you hear, news headlines of, the economy, this and recession, that, and whatever, it's like, stop. Because they're making blanket is not necessarily the case with every single. So again, it may be your industry, it may be, that part of your business is, in dire need of, adjustment, but that's not everybody. There are a lot that have not slowed down at all.
Well, it's like they say in a gold rush, the person who gets rich is the guy selling picks and maxes, not the guy digging for gold. So it's an accidental business that happened to be in the right place at the right time, and that. So what are a few other ways that if we wanted to reach out to clients and we wanted to get our brand out there and we wanted to stay relevant beyond social media, because there are still, I mean, though we like to say, or Facebook likes to say everyone's on it, that's still not true. But what are some other ways that you've seen people take advantage of this time to keep their name and their brand out there that others could maybe do?
Again, I think it's a matter of realizing, all right, what's everybody go. We help. I've seen businesses create, basically, coloring books in PDF form that they're emailing out to, print this off to your kids. So you have, those things. I clients books, not mystical, but other books to just be like, hey, here's something to read during this time. There's just so many outside the box things that you can do that help. Had a matchup with a pen pal, and so they're all handwritten letters to each other, and so the girls are loving it. My daughter got a letter, she was super excited to open this, and they, I don't know that my daughter realized that physical mail was a thing, a couple
Yeah.
months ago, right? So there's these different ways that you can do it, but also even, maybe you do more phone calls, maybe you do more private videos for them. Like we're chatting now and out and talk and, vent and whatever. It's isolated right now. So for them to feel to others, you're going to win. You're going to absolutely win. And I think Trevor, is that there's so many business owners right now because they don't know what to do. They're going to do nothing, right? Because they're just going to sit there and say, well, I don't know what to do. And so they just scroll and watch Netflix. Now is the time more aggressive than you've been before. That's the opportunity we have. And more content, communicate even more often, like try to be more helpful. And for that, you just have to decide that now's the time you're going all in and commit to that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm really excited for the future. I really do believe, and we've been chatting with a lot of clients, that if we can, if you can get stronger in this time where things are a little bit tough, you can outpace and leapfrog over your competition. It's not about positioning you or depositioning your competition as being bad. It's just about positioning yourself in front of the competition and making sure that that you're the one that people are thinking of, because there are, like you said, there's a lot of people that are out there, businesses that, I mean, we had a fight or flight scenario a few weeks ago that happened, and a lot of people just ended up with the flight thing, and they turned and they ran, and I'm not shaming anyone like that, but they just weren't planned for this. And then there's the people who are fighting right now that are like, you know what, I'm going to come out of this stronger. So I really do believe that that if you can be set up, if you can set yourself up, if you can stay front of top of mind with all of your clients, if you can keep communicating with your clients, that you really can win this and come out stronger than ever before. And that means growing. There's going to be companies that were just starting to get into the game, whatever your business is, that decided January was the year that they were going to open up a business. Well, unfortunately, it was just very bad timing for those clients. So the gap between those who are still in business to those who want to get into business is going to widen even more than ever before. What are your thoughts, John, on what the future is looking? I know that you said you're excited for it, but what makes you most excited?
So I think I'm going to piggyback on a lot of what you just said, if you don't mind, because
Sure.
I think you're exactly right. And I'm excited for a few things. One, I've got clients in other countries earlier than mine and yours, and hearing, what's going on there, there's a lot of things to be hopeful about, with this in terms of business and economy and, all of that. So, with that, I'm like, okay, I see light at the end of the tunnel. We don't know when the end of the tunnel is, but there is light at the end of the tunnel. With that, then I think, wow, we are living in a time unlike any before, that because of social media, we are seeing exactly who the real deal is and who isn't. We are seeing who is strong-minded and who is weak-minded. We see whose business is built to last and whose isn't. And it's fascinating. And that opportunity, because when this is over, what's going to happen, Trevor, is that people are going to stop and they're going to think about who everyone was during this. And what I mean by that is they're going to look at that guru, that author, that business, that brand, that whatever that they were following, and they're going to remember, was that person posting a lot of fear and assumptions and negativity, or were they leading the charge? Were they trying to help in any way that they could? What were they doing during that time? The market is going to reward those people. I'm seeing it already, even in my town. We've got, I guess they're probably across the U.S., but not a fast food chain, but a restaurant chain called Texas Roadhouse. And when all of this happened, their CEO said, "Hey, I'm not taking a single penny of my salary because I want to try to keep all of our employees, if possible, and help out." Well, okay, they do that. And now if you go and get takeout from them, where they're being really safe, they got the masks, the gloves, they bring it to your car, you're not interacting, it's packed. And I'm talking a line, through their parking lot, through the next company's parking lot, and then out in the road. Why are people showing up like that for them? Because that CEO is showing the world, hey, I want to try to help my employees. This is what I want to try to do. And there are a lot of people right now that aren't doing that. And I get a lot of businesses can't, and I respect that as well. But that's what I'm saying, is that the opportunity here is that we're going to blink and all of a sudden we're slowly getting out of this. And then it's going to be, oh, wait, did I miss the opportunity? Did I miss the time to market? Did I miss the time to help? Did I miss the time to increase my visibility and grow my brand? Because that's, this is the season for it. And like I said, this is really a time that we have been, waiting for forever, because we've all had competition. Now, all of a sudden, the consumer is, taking content in more than ever before. But our competition has actually disappeared in a lot of areas because they're not being more aggressive. They are slowing down or disappearing.
Well, and I mean, to jump on that, I was going to mention, you'd mentioned a restaurant earlier. I'm really excited at what I've seen from restaurants who really, before this happened, didn't have a social footprint at all. And they understood very quickly that they have to get out there, and they're making, I mean, not earth-shattering posts, but they're showing people that they're alive, and they're saying things like, "Hey, you've had a tough week. It's Thursday on a long weekend. Don't go home cooking. we've got food ready for you, curbside pickup. And like you said, once this thing is done, people are going to remember it. And not only that, before it's done, um, we're helpers by nature. People want to help. So if you're going to that local restaurant, you're going to take a picture. You're going to say, hey, because for some reason we love sharing food online, but you want to show that, hey, you know what? I'm at this place where there's a lot of other people ordering from here, and this is why I ordered. And that again, so now your customers are doing your marketing for you. Why? Because you were ready, you were positioned, and you were looking to take care of things and that. And I mean, it's such a wonderful thought. Lastly, before we wrap things up, talk about how, because we are a helpful nation, because we're a helpful um, peoples, um, how you can utilize your customers to help spread the word that, hey, you're still open, and hey, you're still doing business. What are a couple of things that you've seen businesses you do to utilize their customers' social platforms?
I think now is a great time, especially if you're a small business owner, to not be afraid to ask for help. And so, what I mean by that, Trevor, is like you said, if someone does business with someone and they say, listen, hey, I appreciate you. If you have a customer saying that, stop and say, hey, do you mind sharing about your experience on Facebook, Twitter, whatever, right? The tool doesn't matter, because it would really help us out during this time. Like you said, people want to. The problem is we just don't ask for it. And, there's a lot of psychology behind this, and we don't have to dive into that. But if you study it, you'll see statistically, there's a certain percentage of people that will promote your business, whether you ask them to or not. It's just kind of how they're wired. They like, singing praises of people. There's a percentage of people that won't do it, even if they love you and even if you ask, because they're just not that person. Like, it feels too personal to them. They don't want people to know what they're buying or where they ate or whatever. Right? Like, they just don't do it. But most of the people, right, the vast majority, will absolutely help you out if you ask. They don't know how business works. They're not marketers like us. So we assume, hey, they loved us. I don't know why they're not talking about us. They know that would help us out. No, they don't. They don't know that. You got to just ask them to. And we've never been in a time when it's less awkward to ask for help, because everyone in the world knows that every business right now is, sitting on the edge of their seat trying to navigate what in the world is going on. So that's the thing, is like it's simple, and it's maybe out of your comfort zone, but it's one of the most profound things you can do, is ask your customers for help. Can you help spread the word about this offer we have? Can you spread the word about the experience you just had? Can you let people know we're still in business, we're still serving the community, we're still helping? Well, yeah, because the customers are going to say, absolutely, because we appreciate what you're doing during this time, and we're all trying to help out as much as we possibly can. And so that's the other natures, like you said. We are a group of people that want to help. The problem is we feel helpless. We don't know how to help, right? It's like, some people can't financially donate. Some people, we can't go volunteer and serve anywhere right now because we have to be distant. And so those of us who are wanting to help, we're not really sure how. I got friends that are making masks, and they're giving them to nurses and doctors, and like they're landing on the news, and I'm like, oh, that's amazing. And then I feel intimidated because I'm like, I can't make a mask. They certainly don't want me to try. Like, there's no way it's gonna work. But what can I do? Oh, well, I can, support any business possible. I can spread the word, about them. So that's the thing, is just asking for that help and getting your customers to spread the word for you and almost turn them into kind of your own little marketing army. They will do it if you ask. They'll do it if you show them how. Give them tell them, hey, share this video on social media, or share this picture, or whatever it is you want them to do. That most of them will do it if you ask.
And what a great statement on that, as well as just to say, if you see somebody doing well, you can share that story and help amplify it. Um,
Yeah.
I want to finish off with some challenges for people, because I like a good challenge, and I know people out there like a good challenge. One of the things that I've been challenging myself to do is I don't, I stopped commenting on a lot of posts a few years ago just because it was just oversaturated. And I said to myself, you know what? If I'm reaching out to clients, I want to start commenting on people's posts, because as you said, we're all in this thing together. We're all in this foxhole, if I say that, or in this thing together. We're all going to get out of this thing together. So one of the things that I've been doing is challenging myself to comment on things instead of just liking it. Take 10 more seconds to say some sort of positive affirmation. Another thing that I've been doing in this time is challenging myself on things that I said, if I only had more time to do it. That's doing the podcast. I also, last week, I got my drone pilot license. And I'll tell you, that thing was a lot harder than I thought it would be. Actually, I had to study for it. And then I'm like, man, these are tough questions. And I got that because it was like, you know what? When it slows down, I'll just get this. So I'm challenging myself to do the things I've always put off or throw in the back burner. What are a couple of
Yeah.
challenges that you can offer up to people so that it can kind of put them in or push them in the right direction to help get out of this thing?
I think I love yours about the comments. That's so powerful. And you're exactly right. And I'm guilty of it myself. Like, I'm a scroller and I'm that dude that sees something. And I'm like, oh, that's awesome. I love that they did that. And then I just keep scrolling and
Yeah,
I'm like, I need to, give them some of that juice, like comment, like, do
yeah,
those things. So I love that when you have, I'm going to go on the internal part because we think about business, we think about marketing, we think about tactics. It's more important right now than ever before that you have a strong morning routine. And your morning routine can be whatever you need it to be to put yourself in a position of success. But in a time like this, the problem is we're waking up, we're getting ready, and then we are checking Facebook and we're checking Twitter and we're looking at the news and our inbox, and that's not always full of positivity. It's not always full of good news right now. And so before you even really get into your day, you kind of feel a bit off, or maybe even feel sad or depressed, or your anxiety spikes. And it's like, wait, let's get ready mentally before you combat whatever the work is going to be, before you see what the news is for yourself. So wake up in the morning, take time to journal or meditate or pray or exercise, or again, whatever it is, like, go on a walk. I don't care. Like, do your thing. Again, it's like, it doesn't matter what I do or what you do. It's like, find what works for you, but do something like that and be consistent. Don't just roll into your day unprepared, because that is hurting us, and we're not as productive because we're just not focused. We don't feel confident. Our energy is off. That's one of the best things that a business owner can do right now. That's one of the best things any of us can do, is to realize, like, wait a minute, if I take a little time, put myself in a position of strength, now I'm going to interact with my family different. I'm going to interact with people online differently. I am going to be a lot more of what I want to be and who I want to be if I could just take time in the morning to do those things. And I don't care if you start your morning at 5 a.m. or 10 a.m. Like, it, doesn't matter. Just before you start, taking a whole world on, take some time for you and get yourself ready and be strong.
love that. Keeping the mind sharp and that, because again, this thing can get to you faster than anything. I now understand what rock fever is, because those first couple of weeks it was tough. And when everyone else went home from the office, I said, I've got to keep coming to the office because I'm trained. If I don't keep coming to the office, I'll throw my routine off. I'll throw the kids' routine off at home. So I'm still driving in. It's lonely. It's 1,000 square feet and just me walking around. But hey, no bathroom lineups, no lineups at the kitchen. I got I got it made in the shade. Anyways,
That's the way to look at the positive, though, right? It's like,
absolutely.
but there's positive in every
I,
situation.
I,
You doing that, I'll say, um, something that really fascinates me. A book that a lot of people have heard about called Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill, which was written in a time even way worse than what we're experiencing now, which is really fascinating. But one of the things he said in that book is that in every bit of adversity that we face lies the seed of an equal or greater benefit. And for many years, I don't know that I agreed with that, because I thought, when something bad happens, how is there something good, within it? And then as I got older and went through more bad things, I eventually got to realize, like, hey, he's exactly right. We've just got to see it. And what I discovered is the only way to see it is to look for it. So even something simple like you're talking about, hey, I'm the only one in the office. That's lonely. That's weird. This feels really odd. But hey, I don't have to wait for the bathroom. Nobody's eating my lunch in the kitchen or whatever. Like, right? Like, there are positives to draw out of all of this, but not if we don't look for them. That's the thing. And so, man, I think that would be like my final, big tip for someone is just know that, like, whatever you're looking for, you're gonna find.
Yeah.
So pick that thing very wisely.
I also have the best parking spot now. I took a picture. I took a picture yesterday, 3:30ish. It's a 50-car parking lot in their complex. One car in there was mine, and I'm like, this is the new normal. So at least for the time being. But you know what? I'm fighting through it with everyone. I'm there with everyone. John, thank you very much. Oh, you know what? I've got my little prop here. I switched these over to say that the future is so bright that we've got to wear shades.
Wow.
Wow. See how we did that?
That's something that you have been isolated for too long, my friend.
I hear you. How can people start to follow you? How can they find you online?
Sure, man. They can go. I'm on all the social media platforms, but I'm on Facebook and Instagram a lot. So you can look me up there, or if you just go to johnmichaelmorgan.com, you'll see links to those places where I'm probably most active. So.
Perfect. John, thank you very much for taking time out of your busy schedule. I wish you and your family a great long weekend and a great Easter weekend. And we will be in touch shortly. Again, thanks
Absolutely,
again,
man,
for sharing with the audience everything that they needed to hear.
Thanks for having me.
Have a great one.